Next up, we have the incomparable Claire Garcia Quintana. Majoring in finance, she has served with the Virginia Living Museum. Come on up, Claire.
I want to say that I'm very nervous, and I'm a tour guide. Like, I talk to strangers all the time. But you people are really important to me, so I will try my best. Your immediate, local, and global community will transform you into an intentional, consequential leader. Your love for people, service, and Hampton Roads will reach unassumable heights. Dedicated, purposeful service and storytelling will shape the very best version of Claire there will be. These are the words I'd write to my freshman self 4 years ago, before I began my journey as a Bonner. But today I get to tell you why. So coming to Christopher Newport was a dream of mine when I was in high school. Every single aspect of this school excited me. Its people, its values, everything. And before I came here, I knew that I had thought differently from others, and I knew that I saw the world's problems through a different lens, but I really didn't know why. That was until our Bonner freshman year orientation. I can tell you that that day changed me. Well, I can't tell you why that day changed me, but here are my guesses. Maybe it was Brad's passion talking about Hampton Roads. Maybe it was my first time learning the concept of assume the relationship. And maybe it was my cohort who in seconds had already felt like family. I just remember thinking, I don't know how I got so lucky to be in this program. While I did not know it at the time, that would be the day I would discover a new part of myself through my service work. And after that day, I had a lot to learn. So like any good old college student, that's exactly what I had set out to do. I wanted to learn from textbooks, articles, media, and I wanted to learn from people. I value our freshman pilgrimage to Tennessee so much for this exact reason. It's where I learned what assume the relationship meant, and that it meant that I could learn about community through people. Assume the relationship defines how we can create our interpersonal relationships. Short and simple, talk to people like you've known them your whole life. Ask them about their family and friends and their fears and their life aspirations. I like to say that we live very short lives, and it is our duty to make the most of our interactions. And upon my return from Tennessee, I had at that point made it my mission to get to know every person, every Bonner, and every person I had served with. I was ready to start moving forward with my service with the BLM and with the broader Hampton Roads community, but I was also ready to redefine who Claire was and who she would become. The next 3 years at CNU would be hallmarked by perspectives and people's truth. I spent my first year asking questions, and now I felt like it was time to get some answers. In my mind, though, it was supposed to only be one answer, one way to solve a problem, one simple solution, one way of doing service work, and one way of thinking. But guys, spoiler alert, that's not true. Those years made me recognize our duty as citizens, leaders, and community changers, and that is always to be open to hearing from others. Because if you want to see the change at any level, you have to be willing to engage in civil discourse. You have to be willing to listen, to understand, instead of hearing to respond. Our Bonner weekly meetings helped drive that home for me, but it was the events of the COVID-19 pandemic and so civil justice issues that arose that made me put that into practice. This shift in mindset affected how I perceived my service work as well. You see, at that time, I very clearly thought I knew exactly what it was that my service site had needed. But when I had returned to Newport News in the fall of 2020, after being in Puerto Rico for a semester, I came back to a completely different Virginia Living Museum. One that was different, but I still called home, because the foundational relationships that had always pushed my service work for a greater purpose were still there waiting to welcome me back. And so while I had once large aspirations making the museum more accessible to the local community, that was no longer in reach. The pressing needs of the museum had drastically changed. See, my site needed help running its operations the way it used to, with about a third less of its resources. Naturally, this is how I came before my capstone idea. So my capstone to the Virginia Living Museum is a lot of things, and I will try to summarize for my non-finance people, but it's really a observe and help. It's a more comprehensive effort to help the guest experience department not only increase their revenue line by selling memberships, but to find ways in which to track this improvement in a user-friendly system. See, by increasing membership revenue, the museum can budget for more resources to help the people there. So finding ways to incentivize, track, and communicate these changes is the purpose of my project. So now that I had spent the last 3 years learning facts and facing truth, figured, well, it's time to tell my story about this. I wanted to show others how their stories could impact their communities and teach others to listen to relationship and just so much more. And so the last few months, between capstone work, job interviews, applications, and the last interactions at my service site, and in just speaking to people I deeply care about, I found that powerful and intentional storytelling have been at the core of what I do. And storytelling has really been the driver of my success. I see it in the form of change that is not immediate or even truly easily visible, but a more silent one driven by others. Others who have been inspired to tell their stories to shape their communities. And I see it now as we move into this new normal from the pandemic, and I see it when I speak to someone I haven't seen for years, but still feels like good old times when we catch up, Xavier, I'm looking at you. This has been the year of intentional story time. And I'd like now to take the time to share my inspiration for writing this presentation of learning, something really important to me. So a few weeks ago, many of you were there, the author of Hidden Figures, Margot Lee Shetterly, came to campus and she shared her experiences writing the book. And during the Q&A, she said she was writing the book and that it was a challenge because she had an emphasis between facts, someone's truth, and storytelling. And while I found it really hard to find one thing that would exactly describe my body work and the impact it has on me, she perfectly illustrated that just by total coincidence that day. Just really goes to show you. And it's really a lot of the development I've had the last 4 years. And so at the core of my stories are people. And I like to take the time to acknowledge some of them here tonight. I am going to cry, so I apologize. Because without them, my professional, personal, and work in service just would not be significant. So I first want to thank Shandra, Bethany, Kelly, Natalie, and Azara, and so many others at the BLM for making my work there so purposeful and intentional. I want to thank my cohort, Sydney, who taught me that hard work and dedication comes from love. Noah, who taught me that you don't have to say a lot for it to have a meaning. To Brandon, who taught me there's always a need, even when it's not obvious, clearly. And Michael, who always find a way to tell people what he's passionate about. I love you guys so much. And this is where I might really cry. And I also want to take the moment to thank the people who have made all of this possible, and that's Vanessa, Jesse, and Brad, for being the first people to have ever believed in me. None of this work and none of this passion for life and service and purpose would have ever been possible without them. I am the person I am today because 3 people decided to take a chance on me. And I can't tell you how eternally grateful I am for bringing me to this program. Like, college would not have been the same, so thank you. And lastly, I want to thank CNU first for admitting me, and the Hampton Roads community who inspired my passion for servant leadership and shaped the service to the person I am today. And so with all those thank yous, stories, and remarks, I do want to leave you with a message because that's important to me. I urge you to take the time to learn about the things and people you care about. I urge you to question yourself, your truth, your beliefs. I urge you to engage in amiable civil discourse and try to find where the change begins. I urge you to always have the courage to be vulnerable and show people the real you. At the core of intentional service is people, and at the core of people are stories. And that, my friends, is the clear path to a future filled with change.